Welcome again to the Death Row and Executions channel. My name is Paco Rivera. Well, when I was almost done researching this next case on death row inmate Andre Thomas, I learned that a state district judge in Texas put a hold on the execution scheduled for April 5th so that his lawyers have more time to evaluate Andre Thomas's mental condition. However, the state of Texas is expected to appeal the court's ruling in order to proceed with that execution. This same situation happened recently with John Ballantyne when a higher court overruled the lower court's ruling on the day of Ballantyne's execution, and he was in fact executed later that evening. In the event that the same happens here with Andre Thomas, I'm going to go ahead and discuss this case. As I said a moment ago, on April 5th of this year at 6:00 p.m. local time in Huntsville, the state of Texas is set to execute the fully blind death row inmate Andre Thomas. The reason that Andre Thomas is blind is because he has no eyes. And the reason that he has no eyes is because Andre Thomas removed both of his eyeballs, each one occurring on 2 different days. And after removing his second eyeball, he put it in his mouth and swallowed it. Several days after Andre Thomas was arrested for killing his estranged wife, as well as a 4-year-old son that he had with her, and a 1-year-old daughter that his wife had during another relationship after they broke up. And while awaiting trial for murder in jail, Andre Thomas gouged out the first of his eyes. It probably hadn't surprised anyone that Andre Thomas's attorneys then pushed for a defense of not guilty by reason of insanity. In 2005, however, a jury wasn't convinced that Thomas was legally insane, convicted him, and he was sentenced to death. 3 years later, in the year 2008, Andre Thomas, while on death row, gouged out the one remaining eyeball that he had and ate it.
He tells a prison guard, this is a little graphic, he ripped out his own eyeball and then ate it. Makes your stomach turn, right?
Andre Thomas was born on March 17, 1983 in Oklahoma. He was one of 6 boys raised by a single mother who was also an alcoholic after settling in Sherman, Texas, about 60 miles from Dallas. Thomas attended a Baptist church in Sherman. A Sunday school teacher described Thomas as a smart and respectful boy who often answered her questions before she could finish asking them. Family members said that Thomas was a curious person who enjoyed drawing what cars would look like in the future. By age 15, he had been arrested for various crimes, including stealing a car. In high school, Andre Thomas met a girl named Laura Boren, and they dated for several years. In the year 1999, Andre Thomas was in the 9th grade, and he was 16 years old when Laura Boren, who was now pregnant with his child, gave birth to a boy they named Andre Jr., born in August of that year. Laura Boren was 15 years old. They both married in the year 2001 when Thomas turned 18 years old. Laura was now 17. Andre Thomas dropped out of high school but later studied for and received a high school equivalency diploma, better known as a GED, and was able to work various jobs to support Laura and their baby boy. The two of them, however, Andre Thomas and Laura, then separated about 4 months after the marriage. Andre Thomas began consuming various drugs regularly, and those who knew him say he was often ranting various scriptures from the Book of Kings of the Hebrew Bible, specifically with regard to the evils of the world and how his now estranged wife, Laura Boren, was Jezebel, a cruel and evil figure who had ordered the killings of many prophets. Andre Thomas was also saying that his son, Andre Jr., was the Antichrist. By the year 2004, Andre Jr. was now 4 years old, and Laura Boren also had a 1-year-old daughter from a relationship she had with a new boyfriend after separating from Andre Thomas, a baby girl named Leyha Marie Hughes. On March 27th of that year, 2004, at about 7 o'clock in the morning, Andre Thomas went up to the 3rd floor of the apartment building located across the street from Fairview Park in Sherman, Texas, where Laura was living with her 2 children and her boyfriend. He kicked the door in and went inside. Laura's boyfriend was at work at the time. Thomas proceeded to stab Laura to death, and while she was lying on the floor, he cut her chest open and removed her lung. He would later say that he was trying to remove her heart, or that he thought that that's what he was removing. He then went to a bedroom where the 2 children were located. He used a different knife than he had used on Laura to kill his 4-year-old son, Andre Jr., and yet another knife, a different knife, to kill Laura's 1-year-old daughter, Leyha. He had also opened the children's chest and removed their hearts. Thompson would later say that he used 3 different knives because he didn't want the blood of the victims to get mixed. After the triple murder, Andre Thomas stabbed himself in the chest 3 times and later said that he expected to bleed out and die, so he went and laid down on the floor beside Laura's body for a time. Eventually, he realized he wasn't dead, so he took the 3 organs that he had removed from his victims, put them in his pockets, left the apartment, and went home. After he got home, he disposed of all the organs into a trash can. Meanwhile, Laura Boren's boyfriend, Bryant Hughes, the father of the 1-year-old girl, called Laura's father, Paul Boren, to let him know that on his way to work, he saw Andre Thomas walking toward his neighborhood and was worried about Laura. Paul Boren, who lived 8 blocks away, rushed over to Laura's apartment. He found his daughter and his 2 grandchildren dead with their chests sliced open. Sometime later, Andre Thomas walked into the Sherman Police Department and told an investigator that God had sent him to kill Laura and the 2 children, and that he removed their hearts to get rid of the evil that was inside of them. He also asked a detective, "Will I be forgiven?" A week after the murder, while awaiting trial, Andre was reading the Bible in his jail cell and saw a passage from the Gospel of Matthew, where in Matthew chapter 5, verse 29, it reads, "If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown into hell." Lawyers for Andre Thomas have argued that in the weeks leading up to the murders, Thomas had sought help from several mental clinics to let them know that he was feeling suicidal and was having strange biblical hallucinations. And the lawyers say that they failed to take action to have him detained for evaluation before he hurts himself or someone else. Lawyers also stated that the all-white jury that convicted Thomas was unjust because several jurors had let their feelings be known about how they strongly oppose interracial relationships. Friends of Andre Thomas have said that since he was a child, Thomas has said many times that he hears demons talking to him in his head that are telling him to do bad things. It's difficult to say exactly how many death row inmates that were truly blind have been executed in the United States. Some reports state that Clarence Ray Allen, who was executed in California in 2006, and Clarence Dixon, a bit of a coincidence that both these death row inmates had the same first name. Clarence Dixon, who was executed in Arizona in June of last year, I did a video on him that appears on this channel. Some reports state that they were blind. However, the same reports also say that other inmates reported having seen these men moving about unassisted and handling various objects without a problem, and that they were likely faking. Only Lee Hall, who was executed in Tennessee in the year 2019 and was suffering from improperly treated glaucoma, was known to be confirmed by doctors as truly blind. And now Andre Thomas, who obviously can't see after he removed both of his eyes. Please remember to subscribe for more death row and upcoming execution stories. I am Paco Rivera. Bye for now.